This video is for Measuring Waves Part 1 in your notebook. I gave you a hint. There are a couple other pages when we did the human model. I think we did on either page 25 or 23, something like that, where we actually drew the wave and labeled it, so you can go back and look at that. Or it's in my PowerPoint where I've labeled it. But anyway, stop the video and I want you to label, as it says in number 1, amplitude, wavelength, crest, and trough. Pause the video and then check and see if you got it right. At this point, I'm going to assume you've already labeled. Check your drawing to make sure you've labeled the way I have it on the screen. The crest is the top. So if you look at the very top, that's the crest. Trough is the very bottom. And when you measure wavelength, you go from a crest to a crest or a trough to a trough. That's one wavelength. And when you do an amplitude, the height of the wave, you go from this resting position or center line and you measure up to the crest, or you could actually measure down to the trough. It's the same thing. All right, now I want you to answer questions 2 through 5 based on what you just learned about measuring, and then you're going to need a ruler to actually measure the wavelength and the amplitude. So I want you to try 2 through 5, where you describe how you measure wavelength and you actually do it, and then the same thing for amplitude. Pause the video. Alright, so here's what you should have gotten for 2 through 5. Again, if you describe the process for wavelength, you go, it's a distance from crest to crest or trough to trough. You just have that consistent reference point. You should have gotten around 72 millimeters for that. If you didn't get exactly 72, it would be somewhere close. And then some kids get around 70. And then for 4, measuring amplitude, you should have said something about going from center line to the crest or center line down to the trough. And you should have gotten around 19 millimeters. Some kids get around 20. If you accidentally used centimeters instead of millimeters, for number 3, you would have gotten a little over 7 centimeters. 7.2 is to be exact, but you should have gotten around 7 centimeters. And for number 5, if you accidentally used centimeters, you would have gotten almost 1.9 centimeters.